The suspended chief of Cambridge Analytica is refusing to testify before the UK Parliament, just one day before he was set to appear. Alexander Nix had agreed to return to Parliament to address inconsistencies in his earlier testimony. Nix's attorney said Tuesday his client isn't able to appear because he's under criminal investigation. But the chair of the committee he was supposed to testify before said there is no legal reason why Nix can't appear. One former Cambridge Analytica employee did testify Tuesday. Former Director of Business Development Brittany Kaiser revealed some new information about the data leaks. It was previously thought that one quiz called This Is Your Digital Life was responsible for collecting information on 87 million people. But according to Kaiser, there were more.
I would see questionnaires. For example, there was one called the Sex Compass to find out what your personal preferences were privately. And then there was another one on your music personality. In my pitches, I used to give examples even to clients that if you go on Facebook and you see these viral personality quizzes that, not all of them would have been designed by Cambridge Analytica, SCL Group, or our affiliates, but that these applications were designed specifically to harvest data from individuals using Facebook as the tool.
The data that gets vacuumed up by third parties is just one piece of the puzzle. Facebook itself collects much more comprehensive data about all its users. New York Times lead consumer technology writer Brian Chen recently wrote an article about all that personal data. Chen calls himself a Facebook lurker. He found the information a user shares on his or her profile is just a small piece of what Facebook and advertisers really know. Brian Chen joins us now via Skype from San Francisco. Okay, Brian, in your article, you say you're not very active on Facebook, but you used the tool and downloaded your information anyway. What does Facebook know about its users, and what did your Facebook data reveal?
Facebook has a lot of information on its users, including what they had in their profiles in the past as well as the present. So when I downloaded my profile, I was expecting there to be nothing very interesting because my profile is pretty sparse. I've removed a lot of information over the past 14 years or so. But what jumped out to me was not only did they have a list of friends that I had, but they had a list of friends I had deleted from my Facebook account, which was about 100 people. They had my full phone book, including numbers for my doctor, my mechanic, even the pizzeria next door, which I thought was unnecessary. And they had a full history of every time I opened Facebook and using the app or using the website, and sometimes had the location data associated with the times that I opened the application. So a wealth of information in there.
Well, you offer a warning at the end of this piece. Quote, once you see the vast amount of data that has been collected about you, you won't be able to unsee it. What weren't you able to unsee?
Well, basically, once you know that all this information is collected about you, it's really hard to use Facebook and think about your activities on there. You start thinking maybe I shouldn't be doing this because somebody might be watching me. Something I forgot to mention earlier was that not only did I see my profile, but I saw a list of 500 different advertisers that had my contact information. So when you click on your profile, you can click on an ad section. And in that ad section, it shows every single ad that you've clicked on recently, and it also shows a list of advertisers with your contact information. And there were hundreds and hundreds of advertising brands I had never heard of and never interacted with, which really surprised me.
Well, how does that happen? How do advertisers obtain your information?
A number of ways. It could just be that they use web trackers, including ones that were offered by Facebook. And they're basically like cookies or invisible pixels that load in your web browser. They follow you around when you browse the web. They look at information that you enter on websites, like your contact information sometimes. They can get your IP address and get an idea of which device you're using. They can stitch all this different information together to build a profile about you and basically serve you advertisements based on your interests.
Well, in your article, you say you tried to contact the advertisers to ask them about what they did with your data. Have any of them responded?
No, I think that it's a question they don't really want to answer because they don't want to tell me how exactly they got my contact information and what they're doing with my information. But, excuse me, I did talk to a number of people that work in the advertising industry that explained to me how exactly the information is collected. And using the trackers is one example, but they can also obtain the information from data brokers, which are just third-party companies that sell information on customers to their clients.
Well, Facebook has said Google, Amazon, and Twitter are also using their platforms to store data, the same data many find invasive, and you actually looked into that. What can you tell us about the data you downloaded from other sites?
Right. So Google is the really big one. Facebook is tiny compared to Google in terms of the amount of data that's collected. To give you an idea, my Facebook file was about 650 megabytes compared to Google's, which was 8 gigabytes, which is way, way bigger.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I've only started to dig into that, but what really jumped out to me was there's a folder called Android, and I opened that folder, and it had a full history of every single application I've opened on an Android phone, including what time and what day. And I don't really know why they need that granular detail of information in terms of what I'm doing with applications. It just seems like too much, in my opinion. The other thing that was kind of interesting to me was in a folder called Ads, they showed a history of websites I was browsing, and they weren't even websites where I was looking them up on Google search. They were simply websites that were loading Google advertisements, which I thought was kind of unfair because I hadn't been using Google at the time to find those sites. So a pretty detailed history of web browsing activity.
And any response from Google, or have you reached out to them yet?
I did reach out to them for that story. They didn't get back to me by deadline. I plan on revisiting that story pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Okay, we will. Very eye-opening. Brian Chen, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.